Superman 78 heads to Krypton long ago, where Kal-El's rocket races away from the doomed world. Jor-El knows his son will travel far, but he will never leave them, even in the face of their deaths. Lara knows that this is their end, and Jor-El fears so, as soon something begins happening, something that confuses Jor-El since it isn't as he predicted. Lara asks if Kal's ship made it away and he is safe, and as the world burns around them, Jor-El says that he is, and of them and their people and world, Kal-El shall be all that remains. Krypton explodes, and in the debris field, Brainiac watches from his ship, knowing that Krypton sealed their fate and the era of the careless, dangerous civilization comes to an end. On Earth, Clark calls out to Lois, finding it funny bumping into her on the way to the office. The woman stops for a hot dog as Clark knows she's running late since Perry wants them at their desks by 8:30, but Lois knows breakfast is the most important meal of the day. But Clark is sure they didn't mean that about hot dogs. Lois tells the man that he worries about Perry too much and he's got to have some confidence in himself since he's a pretty good reporter and a lot better than when she first started at the Daily Planet. Clark spots a man mugging a woman, and as Lois tries to pay for her hot dog, Clark uses his heat vision to set the man's shoe on fire, causing him to find a puddle to put it out, letting the cops catch up to him. Lois tells Clark that she left her wallet at home, asking if he can pay, which he is more than happy to, telling the man to keep the change. Clark asks Lois if she thinks Perry thinks he's a good reporter, as back at the office, Perry tells Clark that he needs more from him, since Lane is carrying too much of the weight around there, asking why he keeps bringing in fluff like news on dog shows. Clark says that they can't always print doom and gloom, and people do like happy news. Jimmy knows it's safer as well for the photographer, told to go take a picture of something by Perry as he sends the boy out. Perry tells Clark that he's been in the business a long time and knows what it takes, and Clark knows how to write and spell better than a dictionary, but that only gets him so far, since he's got to dig in and tackle the serious stories, and that's how he can be a household name like Lois Lane. Clark knows that Lois really has a nose for news, and some of the risks she takes is awfully dangerous, but Perry knows that that's what being a reporter is, wanting him to get out there and find his angles, since great stories don't just fall from the sky. Above Earth, something falls from the sky towards the planet, impacting the middle of the city. Clark and Perry both hear it as outside, a Brainiac drone has arrived, beginning to scan the people, finding them to be fragile as it begins blowing up police cars. As it blows through Schuster Station and sends data back to its mothership, Clark races down the streets, changing into Superman. The fire brigade call for the people to get off the streets and into shelter as Lois and Jimmy fight through the crowd, with Lois telling Jimmy that good stories aren't behind them, they're out in front. She tells the photographer to put his camera to work as the drone continues blasting apart cars, knowing human-caused threats to global cataclysm is limited at the present time. The cops open fire on the drone, but their guns do literally nothing to it as Superman arrives, knowing the drone has to be the one with the thick skull. Using his heat vision, he blasts it back into a truck, causing the being to begin malfunctioning. Superman attends to the people, telling an officer that he doesn't know what this thing is, but he will get to the bottom of it once he knows everyone is alright, asking if anyone needs medical attention. A woman screams as the drone returns, slamming Superman into the ground as he knows that he is a non-human species, scanning the hero as the Man of Steel decides to introduce himself. The drone knows that he is a possible Kryptonian, blasting the hero right through an office building and into a brick wall. The drone finds that he is still alive, realizing that the yellow sun radiation has resulted in augmented physical abilities for the Kryptonian. Superman beats up the robot, knowing it's nice to meet him as he knocks its head off. The head says it's sending data to the mothership and alerting Brainiac as Superman wonders what a Brainiac is. In the farthest reaches of space, above a dying world, Brainiac finishes preserving yet another culture, knowing not all are fortunate enough to be preserved before extinction. He soon gets a priority alert from the drone, calling up his holograms as he learns it was from Earth, where the drone encountered a Kryptonian. Brainiac knows that it's been 32.4 galactic increments, and a Kryptonian has finally revealed that it managed to escape, and that means Earth's unevolved interspecies balance is in critical danger. Therefore, he must collect this rogue Kryptonian. Back on Earth in uptown Metropolis, Lex Luthor goes to Cord Industries for a job interview. Finding the greatest criminal mind of their time doesn't get him very far in a legitimate company. Leaving the building, it begins raining, so he takes a man's umbrella, but is splashed by a limo that pulls up. The defeated man is forced to walk towards the subway, tossing his wig away as eventually he reaches his uptown apartment. Flicking on the lights, he finds Superman is waiting for him, learning the hero is there to brighten his day. Luthor knows that this is what is called breaking and entering, threatening to call the cops, but Superman welcomes them since he knows he told the parole board of the prison everyone deserves a chance to turn over a new leaf, but only if they agree to keep tabs on him, which they are. Lex knows that this isn't any better than his last prison cell, since at least that had central air. Superman knows it's not too late for him to do good in the world, wanting him to prove himself, so he shows him the Brainiac drone head. Lex wonders why he, the keenest criminal genius of their generation, would want to help Superman, as the hero says that its final word was Brainiac, piquing Luthor's interest. He looks over the head, knowing that it sure gave Superman a fight, commenting on how the hero is clearly out of his depth thanks to him being all muscle and no brains. Lex decides to help, giving his word of honor that he will. Superman holds him to it as he leaves. Lex meanwhile opens his secret lair door, wanting to see how much of a Brainiac this drone really is. At the Daily Planet, Clark asks Lois if she's ready for their lunch date, but Lois knows that this is her lunch date as she's busy writing up a story about the robot from outer space, knowing that the man's Cobb salad can wait. Clark hopes that Lois can take a break, but no one else is looking into this, and police certainly aren't, and she knows the public have a right to know, so she's going to tell them, since she has a feeling this is the story of the century. Clark knows they are all stories of the centuries to Lois as he leaves. Lois calls up an astronomer contact of hers, as Clark overhears their conversation, learning that they picked up a signal from deep space and it's coming from an unknown location and it's in an unknown language. The contact hangs up as Lois tries to tell Clark about it, but the man is already gone, heading to the roof of the building to look into the sky. Lex meanwhile reactivates the drone's head, finding it locked onto the mothership and sent Earth's location to it as well as the location of the Kryptonian. Clark watches as Brainiac's ship arrives in orbit and Brainiac makes contact with the people of Metropolis, telling them that the balance of their ecosystem is endangered as an invasive species of great destructive potential has hidden itself amongst them. He reveals it is a Kryptonian as well as who he is, and he is there to save them. More drones are unleashed on Metropolis, demanding the people show their compliance. Superman shows himself, knowing Brainiac has a funny way of saving people. Brainiac didn't expect the unevolved mind of a Kryptonian to understand the equilibrium of the galaxies as the drones attack, trying to isolate Superman and his powers, slamming him into the ground. Lois rushes out to cover the story as Superman knows that they'll have to do better than that to stop him. Lex meanwhile demands the taxi he is in get him downtown, but the woman refuses to go thanks to the battle that's happening. Lex offers her $500 to get her, so the woman floors it as Superman confronts another horde of drones. Brainiac tells the people that Krypton has had its time and its own species brought about its own demise, yet they believe one of them to be their savior, but it is not. Superman rips the shield from his chest, covering some of the drones in an energy net as he tells the villain that this is his home and Brainiac is the threat there. Brainiac reveals that he is also the last of his kind and he engineered the body he has and transferred his consciousness into it so the knowledge and culture of his people would live on. He proclaims that he must cage Earth in order to preserve it. The people come to Superman's aid, telling the villain that he won't be taking the Man of Steel. Seeing the people continuing to side with the barbaric Kryptonian, Brainiac decides to excise the entire city from Earth. He activates a giant cannon on his ship above, knowing that he must cut out the diseased flesh from the body. Superman gets him to stop, telling the villain that he wins and he won't hurt the people since it's not their fault. Superman doesn't want Metropolis punished because of him, so as the city watches, Superman kneels, surrendering himself to Brainiac and his drones. The people of Metropolis come to Superman's aid, demanding Brainiac let him go. Brainiac reminds them that Metropolis isn't the place for the rogue Kryptonian, but the people continue to riot against the villain. Because of this, Brainiac wonders if maybe they are tainted by his influence, wanting to wipe them out, but Superman stops them all, telling Brainiac that this is his city and from the first day he arrived, they welcomed him. But maybe the villain is right and he doesn't belong there, so he wants to do one final act of kindness for them all and give himself up for their lives. As the robots lead the hero away, he can hear Lois's heartbeat, telling the woman goodbye as he is cuffed and led back to the ship. Lex Luthor arrives, introducing himself and congratulating Brainiac on his victory. He tells Brainiac that he can take the hero as the villain says goodbye to Earth, warning them not to squander their newfound freedom. Lex lights up a Cuban cigar, offering one to Lois as up on the ship, Superman is secured in place, but he tells Brainiac that he gave him his word and hopes that Brainiac will give him his and leave leave Earth alone. Brainiac knows that removing Superman from Earth is only the beginning, and he needs to be preserved. Superman is soon exposed to the bottled cities Brainiac has captured, seeing a Thanagarian city as Brainiac tells the shocked hero that this is all scientific and nothing divine like Superman thinks. Superman is blasted by a laser, trying to get free from the pain and break his bindings, but it's too late as Superman is preserved in a jar. Superman finds himself in an icy landscape where he finds more Kryptonians, including his thought-dead mother and father. At the Daily Planet, Lois begins writing her new story about Superman, with Jimmy wondering if she should, and maybe the Chief can get someone else on it. Lois knows that this is her beat, tapping away on the typewriter, and by morning, the story of Superman's departure is on the front page of the Daily Planet. Inside the bottled city of Kandor, Clark hangs up his costume and dons the white robes of his people, meeting with his mother, who says that he looks very much like his father did when he was younger. Clark tells her that no one has ever told him that, and that Lara knows that how could they? They weren't there for him. She asks about his Earth parents, learning all about the Kents and how he crashed on their farm. He knows that they couldn't have children of their own and always saw him as their gift, but soon they saw that he actually had gifts of his own. Clark knows that his mother knew this, and it's why they chose Earth, wanting her to know he always tried to do what is right, and that's how his parents raised him. Lara knows that they sounded like good people, and Jor-El and her wished that they could have shown them the gratitude they want to, but more than anything they wished it could have been them who raised him. She knows that he is on Kandor now, and perhaps this is where he was meant to be all along. As they walk through the city, Clark can feel the others looking at him, but Lara tells him that they haven't had any new arrivals since Clark, and not only that, the new arrival is part of the storied House of El. Clark asks how this is possible, so Lara tells him that she and the others don't really know, only that Jor-El and her said their goodbyes to him and sent his rocket to Earth, and as Krypton's surface cracked and quaked, there was a bright light and suddenly they were preserved from extinction. She knows that this is a miracle and a catastrophe at the same time as she shows her son the planetary zoo filled with many wonderful creatures, but Lara knows that a zoo within a zoo is quite ironic. Clark finds a creature that he equates to an Earth cow as he is told that it's a thought beast, as Lara can see him thinking of a woman as he touches it. Clark tells his mother about Lois Lane, the love of his life, as Lara tells him that every day she would have imagined every mother's moment she missed with her son, from his first word to his first step and even his first love, and while the bottled city has given them life, it stole everything else and now has stolen her son. Jor-El appears, saying that they are trapped in a prison of science and only science can set them free. Clark can't help his father since he doesn't know anything about Brainiac, but Jor-El says that he's tried to use his own scientific knowledge and that of the 28 known galaxies to solve this mystery but cannot, so how could his son? He knows though that the environment is sustained by red sun radiation, and because of it, Clark will not have the powers he had on Earth, and no one even ages there and time is meaningless. Jor thinks that he has failed them, but Lara tells him that he puts too much on himself. Jor-El knows that dreaming of freedom isn't too much, and neither is a father's wishes for a better life for his son. Jor-El tells his son that the people need a new leader since he grows weary, and it can be Clark, and what he has learned of Earth he must teach their people. Clark reluctantly agrees, as on Earth, Jimmy delivers a letter to Lois about someone who claims to know where Superman is, giving her a place to meet. Heading to the warehouse district, Lois is kidnapped by Lex Luthor, who takes the woman to his lair, and once the woman awakens, tells her to pay attention, since Brainiac is about to learn that he is the most devious criminal intelligence in the universe, and he is going to bring Superman back to Earth. A millennia ago in the past on Colu, Brainiac witnesses the death of his people and what they wrought on his planet. In the present, Brainiac's robotic body is fixed and reassembled, thinking about how the body has all the knowledge that spans the galaxies, and as long as he exists, so does Colu. He tells the computer to alert him of any other planets that require intervention, as in Kandor, Jor-El delivers a speech to the council members, telling them that he has regarded his position as leader with a great honor, but a sadness as well, as seeing as that Krypton has and will ever be in this prison. He wishes to celebrate the future though today, as he announces his retirement from the council, giving his son Kal-El his seat. Later on, Kal is bombarded with many questions regarding housing and marriage. He soon finds some alone time for himself, sarcastically raising a glass to himself as he spills some down his suit. Jor comes to meet him, knowing that he'll have an eternity to get things right. Kal knows that this isn't for him, and while maybe he was born in Kandor, he is from Smallville and from the wheat fields and football, not state dinners and politics. Clark wants to get back to Earth where he can fit in and help people, but Jor tells him that it's hard to accept it, but his son's life now is here, and if there existed a way to outwit Brainiac, he would have discovered it already. Lex Luthor meanwhile shows Lois Lane his supercomputer, knowing it's brains over brute strength that will defeat Brainiac. Lex is unhappy Brainiac defeated Superman before him, wanting victory to belong to him. His monologue is stopped by Lois, who wants to know what the machine does, so Lex says it's a space transmitter, revealing the last time he saw Superman, he placed a small transmitter receiver on the hero's cape, and now they can track him. Lois demands she contact the hero, so Lex does, and the signal travels all the way to the bottled city of Kandor, where Clark punches a crystal wall, finding it does indeed hurt his hand. He hears a voice coming from the nearby suit, checking on it and finding a hologram of Lois appear before him. Clark is glad to see her, asking how she is there, so Lois tells him that it's something to do with brainwaves, telling him that he is missed on Earth and she most of all misses him. She reveals that Lex Luthor is helping her contact Superman and he knows how to bring the hero home, but Clark tells her to hang up the call since Luthor's schemes can't end well. Brainiac meanwhile is alerted to the unidentified transmission on Kandor, tracking it back to Earth. He tells the ship to head back to Earth since it seems their work there isn't complete. Lois meanwhile asks if Superman is happy to see her, and Clark is, but it's too dangerous for her since Brainiac will know they sent a message and come back. Lex chimes in, knowing it's good since then the villain will know who the real brain in the universe is. Superman says that Brainiac thinks he surrendered for Earth, but if he sees Earth is advanced and not primitive like he thought, they will be in trouble. Lex wants that to happen, but Clark knows that he cannot be brought back to Earth since his now alive father has tried and failed. The holograms are disrupted, so Lois demands to know what is wrong with Lex's contraption, but Lex merely states that Brainiac intercepted the transmission just like he planned, having arranged a meeting with the alien. In Metropolis, Brainiac addresses the people, telling them that thanks to some fumbling with forces that they cannot grasp, they must be punished. Lois meanwhile confronts Lex, knowing that he lied about bringing Superman back to Earth, but Lex says technically he didn't since Brainiac's ship is on Earth and Superman is in that ship. Lois leaves to cover the story as Jor and Lara meet with Cal, showing them the signal transmitter on his suit. Jor realizes that this transmitter is what he's required all along as Brainiac meets with Lex, knowing that humanity has issued a challenge to him and to deal with their carelessness and hazardous nature to the galaxy, he will isolate and preserve them. Lex didn't anticipate that as Brainiac fires his shrink cannon at Metropolis. Jor-El meanwhile says that the alpha wave transmitter is quite ingenious, with Clark not wanting Lex to ever know that. Jor reveals that with the device he should be able to send out a transmission and achieve a subspace link to reverse Brainiac's shrinking process. Lara, however, asks if it's safe, but Jor knows that remains to be seen, but this is their first chance of escape. Lara doesn't want to do it, not wanting to put her son in harm's way since they sent him away from Krypton to get him out of it, but Clark, now in his Superman costume, knows that harm's way is what he does, wanting to help his father and free Krypton. He remembers Parkan always told him that they are given chances for a reason and all he ever needed is a chance. Lara is so proud of what her son has grown into, hoping there is at least a small part of her that resides in him. Clark says that she does, so does his father, as Jor demands that they all get to the lab quickly. Lois, meanwhile, races through the chaos-ridden streets of Metropolis as the bridge she's on begins breaking apart. She jumps clear of it, landing on the hard ground and hurting her ankle in the process, but that's the least of her problems as she finds out that Metropolis has been cut from the Earth, taken up by Brainiac's ship, which begins the shrinking process on the city of tomorrow. In the streets of Metropolis, a tired man walks his little dog. Upset his wife made him get it since he has to do all the work, when suddenly he finds his entire block has been ripped from the ground by Brainiac, who above orders the ship to sterilize the bottle and prepare for the specimen. In the bottled city of Kandor, Jor-El finishes his plans, telling his son to move quickly, as he has reattuned Luthor's device to send a message into Brainiac's miniaturization computer and reverse the villain's actions. He stops his science talk as he sees Cal hugging his mother, who hopes that he will keep them in his heart, and Cal knows he will, since they made his heart and made sure it was big enough for 2 worlds. He knows that he will save them both as he dons the headband his father has created. Jor-El knows that his son won't embark on a
rocket this time, but it all reminds him of that fateful day. He chokes up, not knowing what to say, but Kal knows what he means, reciting the words his father left him in his crystals back to him. Jor-El activates his device as Brainiac begins to miniaturize Metropolis. Across the city, everyone calls for Superman's help as Jimmy doesn't think that they're going to like tomorrow's headlines. Jor-El's machine activates as Laura notices Jor is smiling, and the man says that all hope had fled him, but then his son returned to him. Lara wonders how he can be sure that Kal-El will survive this experiment, but Jor knows he will, since he's an L. The power is unleashed on Superman as Lara wants it to stop from hurting her son, but Superman tells them to continue. Lara can't stand to watch, but Jor-El reminds her that in a universe where wondrous, inspiring changes are possible, and they are gifted the means to attempt them, they have no right to turn away. Jor-El wants her to believe in their family as they go to work on the crystals, teleporting Superman out of the city and back into Brainiac's ship. Brainiac is alerted to a system infiltration as the Metropolis miniaturization is halted thanks to Superman appearing, telling the villain to pick on someone his own size. The people of Metropolis notice that the red glare has disappeared, as Lex is happy that Superman is back since he didn't want to have to do this all himself, and Lois knows the Man of Steel heard her calls. The hero battles Brainiac, given no choice since he tried to be a gentleman about this and sacrifice himself to keep Earth safe, but then Brainiac broke his word. Brainiac says that he merely revised his analysis, knowing Earth is imperiled by a race of intellectual beasts unfit to supervise themselves, and he never imprisoned Superman. He merely wished to reunite him with his own kind, but he won't make that fatal error again. Brainiac drones attack the hero, blasting him back into a bottle shelf, causing the hero to catch the falling Kandor before it breaks. Setting the bottles down, he attacks the drones as all of Kandor watches him smash it in the head. Using his freeze breath, he smashes up another one, leaving only 2 remaining, but thanks to his quick speed, he is able to get them to cut each other apart with their own energy blades. With the robots defeated, Superman searches the ship for Brainiac, telling the villain he can't hide from him, hoping that he'll do the right thing and leave Metropolis alone and free all of the civilians he's imprisoned in bottles, hoping since he's a smart being, he will use it to show his better nature. Brainiac appears, clad in an armored mech suit, which he uses to grab Superman, proclaiming that he is his better nature.
Superman battles the armored Brainiac,
who tells the attacking hero his abilities won't work on him thanks to science Superman can't even begin to comprehend. Science that allowed him to create a digitized consciousness capable of inhabiting a new body when his old one dies. He thinks that Superman thinks he's better than him, but he was raised by a lower class of humans and their cars don't even fly. Superman knows that he's not better than anyone. He believes everyone deserves a second chance. Superman smashes the mech armor back as Brainiac says that humanity squanders its chances, and while Superman tries to aid them and give them an example to strive towards, they are no better than they were before and are much worse. He says that he has already ripped Metropolis from the Earth's surface and it's waiting to be miniaturized, and if he isn't allowed to catalog them, then humanity will be extinct. Superman knows that the villain is afraid since he claims to want to preserve races from destroying themselves, but he just wants to control them, so he's not a scientist like Jor-El, he's a scientist who just uses science as a weapon. Brainiac is angered since the hero hasn't seen what he has seen and he has lost everything. Superman tells him that he has lost everything as well and he didn't let it twist him, and he came from one planet and crash landed on another, and the first people he ever saw took him in and loved him as their own, so how could he not see the good in them? He tells Brainiac that he gave up, but Superman never will. Superman breaches the armor, which begins shorting out, so he tells Brainiac to escape and save himself, but the villain refuses, blowing up with the armor and telling the hero he's just a man. The explosion doesn't do anything to the hero, who tells the now dead Brainiac that he is Superman. Suddenly alarms ring out on the ship as it's been damaged by the explosion, putting the bottled cities in danger. Superman races to the cities, collecting them all and speeding away from the ship as Brainiac's consciousness enters another of his various bodies, but it's too late as the ship's core detonates, blowing up the entire vessel. Superman knows that without Brainiac's ship, Metropolis is in danger. In Metropolis, the tech that was holding the city in stasis shorts out, plummeting the city towards the Earth. Superman races in to save it, getting in under the city and stabilizing it. Lex thinks it's too bad the Metropolis real estate market is about to crash as he flies away on his balloon, but Superman continues to push against the island. straining to hold it up as it crashes into the ground. Luckily, the hero's plan worked and he slowed the city enough to carefully set it back down where it once laid. Perry gets to work on his new headline, telling Jimmy to get him photos as Lois mourns the loss of Superman. Suddenly, the ground rumbles and Superman bursts from it unharmed, waving to the people as he meets Lois, wondering if anything happened while he was gone. Lois hugs the hero as later on, Perry congratulates Lois on her new story, asking Clark what he's got, but the man says his cuckoo clock fell off his wall in his apartment and knocked him out, so he missed all of the action. Disappointed, Perry asks Lane what her follow-up is, learning that Lex has vanished and the army has confiscated his hideout and issued a warrant for violating his probation. She also reveals that NASA asked Superman to help recover the wreckage of Brainiac's ship in orbit, so Perry wants her to cover both stories, telling Clark to get some aspirin and for Jimmy to get some pictures. Clark and Lois leave and Clark again asks if Lois wants to go on their lunch date that they promised each other. Lois reminds him that they have deadlines to meet and today is a really busy news day, wondering how Clark could have forgotten that, but Clark says it didn't really cross his mind as Lois reveals that she packed them both lunches, wanting some help with her calls. Clark agrees to help, but first he's got to run by his place. At the Fortress of Solitude, Superman apologizes to the bottled cities he saved from Brainiac's ship, knowing that with Brainiac's ship destroyed, so was the technology that could help resize them. He promises to find another way, and Jor-El believes in his son as Lara tells him that he already gave them something they desperately missed, hope. Superman thanks his parents, knowing that they will make their discoveries together.